Steven Soderbergh is back with his second movie of 2025, but should you go and check it out? Well, let's get into it. My name is Alan Gamble, and Black Bag is the latest movie from director Steven Soderbergh, who has given us classics like Oceans 11, 12, and 13 from 2001, 4, and 7 respectively, Contagion from 2011, Logan Lucky from 2017, a personal favourite, and earlier this year, Presence. It also comes from writer David Cope, who's been a bit of a mixed bag, but gave us other Soderbergh movies like Presence and Kimi from 2022, the infamous Mummy from 2017, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of a Crystal Skull from 2008, but also gems like War of the Worlds from 2005, the original Spider-Man from 2002, the original Mission Impossible from 1996, and Jurassic Park from 1993, along with Carlito's Way from 1993. So, hits and misses for this guy. Black Bag is starring Michael Fassbender from The Killer, Alien Covenant and Prometheus, and the X-Men franchises, along with Cate Blanchett from Tar, Lord of the Rings, and Elizabeth as co-leads. Alongside a supporting cast of Marissa Abela from Back to Black and Barbie, Tom Burke from Furiosa and Living, Naomi Harris from 28 Days Later and Moonlight, Regé-Jean Page, a standout from Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and The Grey Man, with a small role popping up from Pierce Brosnan. So if you don't want a full review and you just want a quick, is it good or not, a thumbs up, thumbs down type review, should I go see it? For me, it's a thumbs up. I enjoyed it for the most part with no real detractors. It's a small-scale spy movie with no massive generic globetrotting akin to Red Notice or The Grey Man, and much better than both of those titles, with a small limited cast with rock-solid performances across the board, all packaged into a tight 93-minute movie. Perfect for a date movie or one with a group of mates, you should have a good time. Black Bag starts out with our protagonist, George Woodhouse, played by Michael Fassbender, being advised of a mole inside an intelligence agency that he works for, and a list of 5 suspects, including his wife. As an older, more experienced agent, he invites all the suspects to a dinner party with himself and his wife Catherine, played by Cate Blanchett, hosting what serves as a fantastic introduction to all the characters in our game. It includes Clarissa, the data analyst tech expert, played by Marissa Abela, Freddy, the wildcard, played by Tom Burke, Dr. Zoe Vaughn, the site psychologist, played by Naomi Harris, and the young, driven Colonel James Stokes, played by Regé-Jean Page. At the conclusion of the dinner party, drama is had, and our suspects and clues start to fall into place, with George noting one clue in particular pointing to his wife as the suspect. Now, this is in most of the marketing materials, so I'm pretty comfortable saying this is mostly non-spoiler. While George starts digging into his wife, leaning on our core team we met earlier for different roles to gather more information and clues as the pieces start to fall into place, while others also seem to be moving as well with the other players. All of these movements result in a polygraph sequence and then wrapping up in a further dinner sequence in a tight 94 minutes. The movie sounds very, very simple and tight, and that's because it is. There isn't a lot to it, and I mean that in the best possible way, because what there is tight and focused. I really enjoyed this one, to the point of when I was going to see Black Bag and Mikey 17 in the same day, I wasn't expecting Black Bag to be my preferred movie of the pair. I really can't get over the fact that it's saying it's a really tight 94 minutes because it does not waste a second of that runtime, and it zooms by super fast, but at no point should you be even tempted to check your phone or anything like that. But if you're seeing it at the cinema, don't check your phone anyway. Don't be that guy. All the characters are rock solid with great performances all around, and chemistry, both positive and negative, is there in abundance when needed. With the MVPs being, of course, the 2 leads of Fassbender and Blanchett. Since it's a spycraft movie with a marital twist, if those 2 don't work, your entire movie falls apart. But they nailed it and worked so well together, even when working against each other, it was just phenomenal to watch. Out of the suspects class, I think my favourite was Marissa Abela, being able to dial it from 0 to 100 incredibly well as required. The look and feel is up there with Soderbergh's other gems, since it was once again longtime Soderbergh collaborator David Holmes on music, who also did Ocean's 11 movies as well as Haywire and my personal favourite, Logan Lucky. If you haven't seen Logan Lucky, go watch it right now. I was originally worried when the opening had a big London title card, and I was thinking, were we going to get another globe-trotting spycraft movie, buddy cop akin to Red Notice or The Grey Man? Which thankfully it wasn't. This was far more small scale, still a very important spy thriller, and with an interesting twist of a husband and wife marital component, adding something a little bit extra. There is only a handful of locations, and while not quite a bottle movie, or single set movie, it does come close in feel to that. Especially with relation to the opening and closing sequences. On that note, I would have loved if the opening and closing sequences was the entire movie, but not in the sense of any detraction to the rest of the movie, but the opening and closing dinner sequences were just by far my favourite sequences in the whole movie. It also quickly addressed the questionable, ethically dubious nature of spy agencies and their activities around the world, establishing that all players are at least somewhat terrible people, being knowingly a part of that. And the coldness of secrets and black bags that's required for those type of situations and industries, but without dwelling on it too much to the detriment of the movie. It's done hard and fast, straight out of the gate, very early in the movie as ripping off a band-aid, so it can get on with the rest of the movie without focusing on it, but without ignoring that element of spy agencies. I ultimately enjoyed Black Bag far more than I expected, and it's by far my favourite movie released in 2025 so far. Granted, it is early in the year, and I've only seen 8 2025 releases so far, but it's still a good thing. I always love being pleasantly surprised by a movie, rather than sadly disappointed in a movie. A small-scale spy movie with a tight, limited cast and a handful of locations with a really strong opening and closing, yeah, that worked for me. Especially all being packaged into that tight 94-minute runtime. So yeah, I think for me, this will be an easy solid 7, maybe an 8, unless you're not a fan of those smaller, tight casts and you prefer those big globe-trotting spy adventures in the more traditional vein akin to your James Bonds, Red Notices, and Grey Mans. Then, if you are more of a fan of that type of movie, maybe it loses a point or two for yourself. It's one where, even if you see the twists coming or predict some of the outcomes, it doesn't detract from the journey, at least it didn't for me. But that's it for me. Are you heading out to see Black Bag? What did you think of it if you saw it? As always, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll be back next time with more reviews and box office breakdowns for the Aussie box office chart. But that's it for me. Bye!